Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning for another news update for Monday, October 20, 2025. And I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, PNP mourns the passing of theater pioneer Yvonne Brewster. The opposition People's National Party joined the cultural community in mourning last week's passing of Yvonne Brewster, a pioneering actress, director and a cultural visionary whose life's work, the party said, helped to define the direction of Jamaican and the Caribbean theater. After studying and teaching drama, Brewster returned home in the mid-1960s and alongside the playwright Trevor Rohn, established the Bar Theatre in Kingston, the country's first professional theatre company. It became a training ground for local talent and a platform for telling Jamaican stories in an authentic voice, said the Shadow Minister of Creative Industries, Culture and Information, Nikisha Burchell. In the early 1970s, she moved back to the United Kingdom, where her career spanned the stage, screen, radio and television. She directed and acted in a range of productions, including The Harder They Come, Smile Orange, and The Marijuana Affair. Her directional work also featured in BBC television projects such as Mayberry, The Fight Against Slavery, and My Father's Son Johnson, all of which deepened her international reputation as a creative force committed to portraying Caribbean life with honesty and dignity. Burchell said Brewster later co-founded the Talawa Theatre Company, now regarded as one of the UK's most respected black theatre institutions. From 2000 to 2001, she reached new audiences as Ruth Harding in the BBC drama Doctors, continuing to represent Jamaican talent on the world stage. The PNP Shadow Minister said the party honors Brewster for her courage and a lasting contribution to national identity, noting Yvonne Brewster was one of the builders of modern Jamaican theatre and the bridge between our island and the wider world. She helped to prove that Jamaican stories told in our language and form our perspective belong on every stage. Her legacy reminds us that culture is not only who we are, but also how we grow. Burchell added that Brewster's vision continues to guide efforts to strengthen Jamaica's creative industries and to preserve the integrity of local storytelling as an engine of development. The People's National Party extends condolences to her family, colleagues, and the global theatre community she influenced. Jamaica has lost a remarkable cultural pioneer, but her example will continue to inspire generations of artists and cultural workers. May her soul rest in peace. Charities heeding the call to direct homeless feeding programs through shelters. Acting Inspector of Poor at the Kingston and the St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, Donna Gay Brady, says the Poor Relief Department has been receiving numerous calls from individuals and organizations seeking to streamline their homeless feeding programs by routing them through shelters. Brady gave the update on Saturday while speaking at a feeding event organized by Nikisha Flash at the Marie Atkins Night Shelter, adding that the department welcomes the offers and is working to coordinate the partners to ensure consistent support for shelter residents. Last week, local government minister Desmond McKenzie disclosed that homeless persons reject and improperly dispose of food given to them by strangers 90% of the time. McKenzie, while making an impassioned plea for the homeless to work with the authorities and vacate areas such as the Justice Square, urged the homeless to make good use of the multiple meals per day provided at the drop-in centers and avoid meals not fit for consumption. Mayor of Kingston Andrew Swaby said for the better part of the year, the municipality has communicated that persons seeking to help with feeding the homeless should contact the Kingston and the St. Andrew Municipal Corporation to ensure the food shared is fit for consumption. We actually camp out at War Theatre or Justice Square on Sundays just to encourage them to make contact with us, and they consistently don't make contact with us. Persons who probably have a dance and have leftover managed water and it gets sour, they carry it and come give it to the persons. Those are the persons who we are talking about, Swaby said. Brady said that the group which organized the Saturday's feeding of persons at the Marie Atkins night shelter adhered to the call and the activity went smoothly. We are happy to see that a group has decided to comply and adhere to this call. So they came in, they were able to feed the homeless population and feed some residents in the shelter, and we truly appreciate the gesture, Brady said. We would have received a number of calls and we appreciate it, she said, noting that the aid from charities allows the Poor Relief Department to redirect some of its funding to other critical needs like health care for the homeless. So we're asking persons to come in, be a part of the process. Feeding on the streets contributes to garbage and to the entire littering of downtown Kingston, which is something we are trying to move away from at the KSAMC. Flash, who organized the Saturday's activity to celebrate her birthday, encouraged the others to join in feeding of the poor and homeless. She said the feeling of giving back was indescribable, adding, "I want more people to come on board to get the experience." The National Homeless Survey, the third of its kind, is expected to be published soon. It was conducted from October 6 to 10 across all parishes by the Ministry of Local Government through the Board of Supervision and aims to generate critical data to inform future policies and services for individuals experiencing homelessness across Jamaica. Some 1,938 individuals were reported as having experienced homelessness across Jamaica in 2017. Keep sexual offenses out of expungement discussion, says criminologist. Criminologist Dr. Jason McKay has opined that sexual offenses should not be among consideration for expungement of criminal records, considering the lifelong effect on victims and high incidence of rape recorded by the Jamaica Constabulary Force over the period January 2024 to October 2025. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck opened last Tuesday's debate on the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Amendment Act 2025 in the House of Representatives. Parliament is moving to adjust the maximum sentence that can be expunged from 5 years to 10, as well as expanding the number of eligible offenses, particularly some marijuana-related convictions. Consideration would be after a period of rehabilitation during which the individual would not have committed an additional offense. Acknowledging that thousands of Jamaicans would benefit, especially from minor marijuana offenses, McKay noted that the Justice Minister hinted that additional offenses would also be included. He, however, warned against the sexual offenses being expunged from the offender's records. A district constable based at the St. Catherine South Police Division headquarters, which covers the gritty informal settlements within Portmore, Central Village and Old Harbour, McKay said sexual violence results in scars that the victims bear for a lifetime, physically, emotionally and mentally, for which offenders should not be relieved by way of criminal record expungement. I am on the ground every day in some of the toughest community in one of the country's most expansive police divisions, witnessing firsthand how sexual violence impacts the victims, perpetuated as a means of control over entire families, which can suffer from grandmother to underage daughter, McKay pointed out. I do not believe that these perpetrators, when caught, put before the court, and the fearful victims testify, along with their families, that there should be expungement of any such record. This is not a murder trial in which the victim died. Imagine a rape victim passing the offender on a street corner, even though it's years later. Knowing that record no longer exists, McKay hypothesized, pointing to the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Serious Crimes Report for January 1 to October 11, 2025, and the comparative period for 2024. McKay noted that, though rape was down by 23.5% from 344 to 263, the incidents were relatively high, showing astronomical increases in some police divisions. St. Mary moved from 5 to 14 reported rape cases, Portland up to 11 from 3, Manchester jumped to 19 from 9, St. Catherine North, with the most incidents last year, 35, is still going at the same pace, 35, McKay pointed out. The debate, McKay said, should also include reintegration into society for offenders whose crimes are not afforded expungement, particularly as it relates to employment. There are barriers for persons who have been convicted that are significant. There is no real program for reintegration, so reoffending becomes almost unavoidable, he said. There are also restrictions on employment of persons in virtually all areas of government. Most larger business entities also require background checks, including disclosure of criminal charges, irrespective of whether the applicant was convicted or not, which should not be a factor. At least one government entity, notably the Firearms Licensing Authority, also requires such a disclosure. Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.